Hi, I'm reading to you again from the Urantia book, paper 184, Before the Sanhedrin Court, part 4, The Hour of Humiliation. Okay. The Jewish law required that in the matter of passing the death sentence, there should be 2 sessions of the court. This second session was to be held on the day following the first, and the intervening time was to be spent in fasting and mourning by the members of the court. But these men could not wait the next day for the confirmation of their decision that Jesus must die. They waited only 1 hour. In the meantime, Jesus was left in the audience chamber in the custody of the temple guards, who, with the servants of the high priest, amused themselves by heaping every sort of indignity upon the Son of Man. They mocked him, spit upon him, and cruelly buffeted him. They would strike him in the face with a rod and then say, "Prophesy to us, you, the deliverer, who it was that struck you." And thus they went on for 1 full hour, reviling and mistreating this unresisting man of Galilee. That's pissing me off, I gotta tell you. During this tragic hour of suffering and mock trials before the ignorant and unfeeling guards and servants, John Zebedee waited in lonely terror in an adjoining room. So he doesn't get to be right there. He's in a different room. When these abuses first started, Jesus indicated to John by a nod of his head that he should retire. The master well knew that if he permitted his apostle to remain in the room to witness these indignities, John's resentment would be so aroused as to produce such an outbreak of protesting indignation as would probably result in his death. So his thoughts again are to protect John, even though he's the one getting hit with a rod, hit in the face with a rod and being spit on. He's thinking about protecting John. Throughout this awful hour, Jesus uttered no word to this gentle and sensitive soul of humankind, joined in personality relationship with the God of all this universe. There was no more bitter portion of his cup of humiliation than this terrible hour at the mercy of these ignorant and cruel guards and servants who had been stimulated to abuse him by the example of the members of this so-called Sanhedrin court. Okay, to this gentle and sensitive soul, there was no more bitter portion of his cup of humiliation. So this is, for him, this is worse than the physical pain and actually getting, strung up on the cross, probably. There was no more bitter portion of his cup than this humiliation. The human heart cannot possibly conceive of the shudder of indignation that swept over a vast universe as the celestial intelligences witnessed this sight of their beloved sovereign submitting himself to the will of his ignorant and misguided creatures on the sin-darkened sphere of unfortunate Urantia. What is this trait of the animal in man which leads him to want to insult and physically assault that which he cannot spiritually attain or intellectually achieve? In the half-civilized man, there still lurks an evil brutality which seeks to vent itself upon those who are superior in wisdom and spiritual attainment. Witness the evil coarseness and the brutal ferocity of these supposedly civilized men as they derived a certain form of animal pleasure from this physical attack upon the unresisting Son of Man. As these insults, taunts, and blows fell upon Jesus, he was undefending, but not defenseless. Jesus was not vanquished, merely uncontending in the material sense. So still then, he could have invoked his angels to come and smite these evildoers, but he's choosing to just submit to this abuse. These are the moments of the Master's greatest victories in all his long and eventful career as maker, upholder, and savior of a vast and far-flung universe. Right, so this is a moment of his victory when he's overcoming this, animal urge to save yourself, to serve, he's overcoming the physical, the material self with his spiritual self. Having lived to the full a life of revealing God to man, Jesus is now engaged in making a new and unprecedented revelation of man to God. Jesus is now revealing to the world the final triumph over all fears of creature personality isolation. The Son of Man has finally achieved the realization of identity as the Son of God. Jesus does not hesitate to assert that he and the Father are one, and on the basis of the fact and truth of that supreme and supernal experience, he admonishes every kingdom believer to become one with him, as he and his Father are one. The living experience in the religion of Jesus thus becomes the sure and certain technique whereby the spiritually isolated and cosmically lonely mortals of earth are enabled to escape personality isolation with all its consequences of fear and associated feelings of helplessness. In the fraternal realities of the kingdom of heaven, the faith sons of God find final deliverance from the isolation of the self, both personal and planetary. The God-knowing believer increasingly experiences the ecstasy and grandeur of spiritual socialization on a universe scale, citizenship on high in association with the eternal realization of the divine destiny of perfection attainment. Okay, that's so he's showing us how to overcome our material selves with our spiritual being and live in full realization of our spiritual being, even in the face of this torment. That's what he's saying. He's showing us an example of, yes, we can overcome our material natures. That's what we have to do. Follow his. That's the example. So whatever that looks like for you, be strong and overcome all these trials here that we're facing in the material world. And I pray for your strength and mine to follow Jesus' example. Thank you.